One of the holy grails of questions when it comes to body recomposition: can you actually build muscle when you are in a deficit? This is one that will get a lot of the internet fired up. I'm just going to simply give you my experience with clients. I'm not going to say the world according to me. I'm just going to give you this is what we did and this is the outcome that we got. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergey and I run the Gorilla Batu, which is an online physique transformation program where we get results like this week in, week out, and then we talk about them online so you can add them into your own training and lifestyle. So let's roll straight into the video. Can you really build muscle in a deficit? I'm going to give you 3 examples of clients where I have actually seen this, but then I'm also going to give you the harsh reality that a lot of the results you see, they simply got leaner. That's why they do look bigger. So in not every case did they build muscle, but I'll come on to that bit right at the end. First, I will fill you with optimism and tell you at 3 occasions where we've managed to achieve this. The first one here is with one of our clients. This was one earlier in the year, a 16-week transformation where we started at 69.5 kg and 17% body fat. Look at his midsection here. That was what I estimated it at. You may tell me otherwise. And then we finished at 65 kg and 10% body fat. Now, if you look across the visuals here, I'm very confident that, especially where you look at this picture here, that this guy is bigger. Now, remember, you look bigger when you are leaner. However, look across all 3 photos. The side shot actually gives us a lot of information. Look at the circumference of the arm versus what you can see here, and that's with tattoos. Look at the clavicle of the chest versus what you see here. Look at the width of the back versus what you can see here. Look at the triceps. Now, again, leaner, looks sharper for sure. Look at the chest and look at the shoulders, and then I'll also say look at the arm here. I'd be very confident to say that this guy built muscle during his recomp phase. Now, the way we actually approached this was we didn't drop too low too soon, and this is the art. When you're not an individual that is fat and you need to still drop off body fat, but you need to develop tissue as well, the approach I like to take is I will sit you just below maintenance for 6 weeks. This will allow you to drive gym floor performance because you're still feeding off a fair amount of food. Only after 6 weeks, but to be fair in this analogy, we pushed it more like 8. Then in the final 8, we then dropped the hammer to get the kgs down. But realistically, from an overall weight changing perspective, he's only changed by 4.5 kgs, which is not a lot. If you're going to go from 17, or let's say he's 16, like even if we really zoom in on this photo here, he's not leaner than 15. At 15, you can see at some of your abs at least, right? So he's at least at 16. So to get to where he is now with the leanness, you need to drop. To get veins running through here, you need to be around 10%. So mathematically, if you're going to drop 0.8 of a kilogram for 1% of body fat, he had to have built some muscle, because otherwise he wouldn't be as lean as he was relative to the scale weight difference that we can see. That's what fills me with the most amount of confidence of this result. And obviously the visuals also don't lie. But again, as I keep referring to, you will look bigger when you are leaner, and I want you to take that into consideration every time you look at these photos and these results and the results I give you. If you ever look at results and think, how did they do that in such amount of time? It's because you look bigger when you're leaner. And I will always reiterate that, and I won't try and sell you any dreams. But in this one occasion, I do believe he developed tissue. Now, one thing he did very well, and this was very, very well, was his ability to train hard and train well. And I know this for how consistent he was at sending me form clips of himself training. So I knew this guy was training like a savage and above the standard of what I see across most clients. That's why I was confident that he was also building muscle. Side tangent to that, if you look at his starting position, you can tell that he had, well, from what he told me, he had not really been training that consistently. He had fallen off the wagon the months leading up to that and hadn't really been training. So we've got that to come in as well. And that is always something to consider. And we'll talk more about that in the next result. But if you are someone that's detrained when you come into it, you are going to look like you've built more muscle, because it may have been muscle that's already been there. But in this example, I'm very confident to say that he built muscle whilst dieting down. And this is the best case scenario I can show you so far from my experience. The next result I want to show you is one where we went from 92 down to 87. This was, again, a result around the similar time. And if you want to look at the side shot, look at the difference across the two. Now, again, for context as well, I will say, look at the lighting is slightly different. It is. There is a pump at the end of these shots. I will also admit that as well. But we can really see the difference in the chest versus what we had here. The arms especially, the shoulders especially, and I would say the back as well. Now, in this, what I will tell you here is this guy was absolutely detrained. I knew this when he came to me. He had not been training for a while. So when he started to train again, did he build muscle? Yes. Was it potentially muscle that was already there? Could have been. He has good genetics. I'm not here to point fingers at genetics at all. I believe you can out-train good genetics, but he has good genetics, so it's just going to make it easier. If you have good genetics, you will be able to build muscle in a surplus. And he just lacked structure before, which we then brought to him, and he recomped really, really nicely. But as we can see, you pulled 5 kg off, but he looks significantly bigger towards the end. So the message so far across the first two is, if you're detrained and then you go into a deficit whilst also training again, you will add muscle. If you have good genetics and you do it, you will also add muscle. If you train like a savage, you will add muscle, but not in every case scenario. The last one I want to show you is if you are brand spanking new to training. This is a guy, a viewer of the YouTube channel that has then become a Gorilla Platoon member, and this was an 11-week difference. This guy was brand new to training, had not trained. We did training in his garage. As we can see, we've got him leaner, so he was in a slight deficit, but only slight, and we held him at that. And whilst because he's brand new, with solid training and technique, he was able to develop muscle. And just by the sheer fact of training hard and sitting just below maintenance, he was able to shed off body fat and get leaner. To the point where we ended up then pushing him towards 3K calories towards the end of the recomp phase. And he's now into a gaining phase, and this is going to be a really exciting result. Because that was coming on 3 months. When we hit the 6th, it will be really exciting to showcase that. And really good to see for any of you that are just you haven't even trained, the potential that you can tap into with someone that could ultimately watch your every rep. This is one thing he done very, very well, actually. He would absolutely abuse me with form clips. He was very good at sending me form clips, and we would give the feedback on those. He trains very hard because, again, he doesn't really know any different in terms of bad habits. So when I'm telling him to push out the extra stuff, he just sees, that's the way it should be done. And he trains like a savage with very good form, eats a good amount of food. So he's going to grow. And as you well know about the newbie gains, the only difference with this new guy is his newbie gains are being watched and monitored correctly in order to get the most out of him. And as we can see, the results don't lie here. Now, this is 3 examples, but to be honest, across a lot of people here, if we look at this guy here, a really nice result. It's a bit blurry on the photo, I appreciate. But there was veins propping through here, thick chest, abs like absolute breeze blocks. To be honest, I really don't think he developed that much muscle during it. And he also was slightly detrained during the recomp phase. You could say this guy developed actually a little bit of muscle, but again, he's leaner, so take that into consideration. This guy I don't think would have built any muscle, maybe a little bit, but as you can see, we've literally just incinerated his midsection and put a six-pack on it. This guy here, I also believe he had the foundation underneath. We lost him 20 kilos, and then he looked like a beast underneath. Same for this guy. You could say potentially he added a touch of improvement here. Obviously, we brought the midsection in. This guy, I believe, a straight-up fat loss to remove that. Same from this guy here. Same from this guy here. I would ask you to question this guy, actually. Again, a viewer of the channel that then came to me. I would say he actually would have built some muscle. And the only reason that I feel myself in confidence with that is if you look at the chest here versus what it has here, that was completely flat. Now there is something more to work with. So I could have done another example regarding him. Straight fat loss, straight fat loss, straight fat loss, an absolute machine of a bloke. Again, I would say straight fat loss, although the arms do look like they came up really, really nicely. Who else have we got? Straight fat loss, good amount of muscle underneath. This guy, I actually would have thought he would have built some. There's a photo where his arms are down, but I couldn't fit it on this page, so I didn't use it. So actually, I think he could have been one candidate as well. definitely straight fat loss, straight fat loss. Straight fat loss, maybe a little bit of development. Again, very detrained when he came to me. This was just 9 weeks and got leaner significantly, as we can see. I believe straight fat loss. And then this guy has done the full process, as you know from yesterday's video. Recomp, which also then inspired me to do this video. Recomp, gaining phase, mini cut, recomp, into gaining phase, and actually these photos are 6 months apart as he was peaking the gaining phase, holding condition very well. Complete fat loss, and I would also say complete fat loss on these as well. So just to give you an honest view of what you can expect, like the majority of my results are really complete fat loss. Maybe they gained a little bit of muscle, but not enough for me to really put my hands on it. But on at least 3, maybe 4 occasions, I can confirm you can build muscle whilst in a deficit. Points to take away from this video are, if you are detrained, there's a very big chance you'll build muscle. If you have good genetics, there's a good chance you will build muscle. If you train like a savage and get your nutrition right, there's also a good chance you can build muscle. But I'm not going to say in every case. This, I believe, was he worked hard. He definitely built muscle along the way. And I saw his clips, and we structured his nutrition right, and we did get the most out of him. The only thing I would say is with this is one example. So everything I say with that, I would honestly tell you just to take it with a pinch of salt. It can be done. It has been done, but it's one example. I feel like I need to give you at least 3 to 5 examples to really put my hands on it. I'm not here to lie to you, boys. I won't try and bullshit you online. I'll just tell you exactly what it is. And then the last example, of course, if you are and this should really inspire you, I guess, if you're brand spanking new to training, you haven't trained, you are soft, and you are not carrying that much muscle, there should also be a lot of hope for you as well, because given by the last image that I've shown you, which was this guy here, this is definitely an example where you absolutely can. So that's my 2 cents on can you build muscle whilst in a deficit from client experience. Hopefully you found it useful and inspiring, and also gave you a realistic mindset view to manage expectations. If you found it of value, brilliant, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to work with me, there'll be a link in the description and we can take it from there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.